Hello everyone, King here back for another video. I will be reacting to the announcements of FEMA changing its policy dealing with heirs property and individuals that live on heirs property. This change is under the 2018 Farm Bill as a provision. So FEMA now is basically allowing people that live on heirs property to receive disaster relief in the event that their homes or property is damaged or destroyed. So I basically attended a seminar that was hosted by the Center for Heirs Property on Saturday, July 16th. And at this seminar, one of the announcers, a gentleman that is a regional director for Senator Tim Scott, as a part of a bipartisan deal working to have this policy change with FEMA. He made this announcement at the meeting. So basically, this is a big deal for individuals that live on heirs property or even have heir property. Now, this is not a new announcement. This actually announcement was made in September 2021. However, it's news to me, new news to me, and maybe new news to other individuals. But yes, I think it's a good deal. Things are changing, policies are ever changing, so it's very important that people pay attention to the change, and hopefully things will be for the better. But without further ado, let's get into this video.
Try to do two events today. But if anyone here looked at today's paper, anyone?
Negative, sir.
Your paper local is why I'm here. On the opinion page is why I'm here. Heirs property, of course, there was, you couldn't qualify for benefits if you were farming at Heirs property farm. That's no longer true. You can qualify now for farming and heirs property farm. And also just recently, FEMA changed their qualification for a family living on heirs property or someone renting on heirs property who didn't qualify previously for disaster relief. Those are the two major things that now heirs property owners or renters on those properties can now qualify for. I also represent Sumter area here for the senator and all in constituent services. Any veterans in the building? I'm here for veteran service. Thank you for your service. Any social security issues, any of those things. I'm out of the Charleston office also, but I come up on a regular basis in Sumter here for constituent services. So I do have to leave, but I'll be happy to speak with anyone real quick in the back. Give you a contact for me, and I'll be happy to come back up with you. Thanks very much.
Okay. So as you can see, again, I attended this seminar hosted by Center for Heirs Property. It was a free heirs property seminar and clinic, and you can see from the flyer there the type of services that Center for Heirs Property can provide to people that have heir property, black farmers, whatever case may be, they need help with clearing up their title and dealing with the heir property issues, as even providing wills to those individuals that have heir property. But needless to say, the gentleman was basically giving us the news that FEMA has changed their policies, part of the 2018 Farm Bill, which is good news for those individuals that live on heir property or have heir property, because, again, with those that are affected that have low income, don't have the money to repair their homes due to the storms, now they can receive disaster assistance at a federal level. It doesn't affect them from having a better way of life, those that live on their property. So, once he basically made that news, I went to do my research, and actually there's the paper that he was referring to was the Sumter paper. Let me see if I can pull that up. The Sumter paper called the Item, and in that paper there is a article. I guess it was published July 12th in the Times and Democrat. But this is again, I mentioned there was a bipartisan deal between Senator Tim Scott, a Republican of South Carolina, and a Senator Douglas James, a Democratic from Alabama, to basically partner up to have FEMA change their policy so that individuals as well as families can have the federal assistance, have access to federal assistance, federal money to basically prepare their homes or deal with their their property. Again, this is a provision of the 2018 Farm Bill. So it was important to change the policy to have basically give fair access to all Americans, American citizens, if you will, and not disqualifying them because that there's a technical issue, a legal issue of not having a clear title, but yet they live on land. Now, before, again, as I mentioned, the heirs property, most heir property individuals do not have a clear title to the property, identifying them as the new heirs or owners of the property that was passed down from generations from the original owners. Their names are on the deed. So this this policy change basically clears somewhat of the issue of having not having clear title, but doesn't resolve all the issues. But it is a step in the right direction, helping them get access to federal assistance through funding and other resources. I think it's very important. And also, there is other articles that are published. Again, it's not new news. This is news from September 2021, but it's news to me, might be news to some. It definitely probably was new news to those individuals that were in attendance. But there were several articles that were published around that time. This one, FEMA closes the gap that prevented many Black families in the South from receiving disaster aid. Like seen there, and this is actually part of a NBC News exclusive documentary, if you will, or coverage of this policy change. And see, here's another one. Right, how they did it. Washington Post reports revealing FEMA failures denial disaster aid to Black families in the South. So you see a gentleman in the photo there going through the wreckage or damage of his home due to a tornado that struck. But this is a very important that individuals have access to federal money or federal assistance and not lingering behind because of some legal issues they cannot resolve themselves, because it costs money to do that, to clear the title. Let's see, here's another one from the Washington Post talking about it. Families living on heirs property will now be allowed to self-certify that they own homes. FEMA will also accept letters from local officials or bills for home repairs as proof of ownership. So again, this is a change, making it easier for individuals to have fair access to aid, if you will, because when a storm comes through, if you live in a mobile trailer and it's been 10, 15, 20 plus years of living in said trailer, is now being decapitated. Is old and is weathered and needs a lot of repairs, but you don't have the funding to do so, and the storm comes through and cause further damage, wear and tear to the trailer. Now they can have access to federal aid, federal money, federal resources. And actually, there was a tweet out. I think this tweet. Let's see here. Yes, from the Central Heirs Property. Speaking of the Central Heirs Property CEO, Dr. Jenny Stevens, and I covered her before in other videos, reacted to some of her commentary, her statements I made in her videos on the Central Heirs Property page about the heir property issues. But here she's speaking that she recognizes the policy changes and how it's going to affect people is going to be for the better. But yeah, there's actually a coverage of her speaking to NBC News, and actually I might be able to play that video later. But again, this is all important news. Again, it might be new news to me, maybe new news to some, but not new news to others. But it's important to spread this word, to get it out there, let people know that things are changing for the better. And actually, this is the flyer from the FEMA page itself. It talks about expanding the options for people to get that disaster relief. And here are the options. You've got a lease agreement, house agreement, receipts, utility bills, saying that you not only own the home, but that you reside in the home, whether it's on heir property or not. So there you go in a nutshell. So actually, let me switch over and try to locate the video of Dr. Jenny Stevens giving her statements about the policy change, and as well as in general nightly news NBC covering this story.
In Bucksport, South Carolina, the battles are fought through faith and community. People here can trace their roots back to over a century of life on this land, which has been passed down generation to generation, often informally, without a will. The legal term for that is heirs property.
It's always called family land. It was only after post-flooding that we understood that had a legal ramification to it as well.
Bucksport is in an increasingly flood-prone region. Back-to-back hurricanes in recent years devastated the area, and in 2018, Hurricane Florence destroyed Hazel Bellamy's home.
Yeah, that's that water line from Florence.
She found out she lives on heirs property when she applied for FEMA aid.
They couldn't approve us for certain things. It was a nightmare.
Hazel's name is not on the deed. None of her living relatives are either. That meant they couldn't prove the land was theirs according to long-standing FEMA funding requirements.
Heirs property owners can't get a mortgage, have limited to no access to housing repair money because you cannot prove clear ownership.
FEMA's new policy will change that by expanding the list of documentation they'll accept for individual assistance. But heirs property owners are still not in the clear.
At any moment, an heir could sell his or her share, which then makes everybody vulnerable to having their property lost.
When someone dies without a will, their heirs, kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, and so on, all own the land jointly as tenants in common. A property could end up with hundreds of part owners, and if just one of them decides to sell their share, that could result in the forced sale of the entire property below market value. About 60% of African-American owned land is heirs property and vulnerable to land grabs. Bucksport, just 30 miles from Myrtle Beach, is a prime target for developers.
Development can be good and bad, but when you're in heirs property, it's definitely going to be a bad thing.
And it's not just a problem for Black Americans. It impacts the Native American community, people in Appalachia, and the Latino colonias on the border.
Heirs property is an issue among low-income folk. Low-income folk do not sit around the dinner table and discuss estate planning.
And fixing it is often unaffordable. Hazel's family paid a lawyer $7,000 to update their deed.
And did it get you guys anywhere? Nope. They wanted more money.
They
we couldn't
took their
afford it.
money.
Are you
That's the
worried that
money.
you might not be able to protect this property?
I am. This is our home. This is what our parents left us. This is our heritage. This is where we belong.
Tasha Burns, NBC News, Bucksport, South Carolina.
Okay, so there it is. This issue is getting national attention, but there's still more work to be done. I mean, this is definitely a start in the right direction. Again, a bipartisan deal between the two senators, both Democratic and Republic senators, helping out their constituents in the southern states that affects affecting blacks, but not only blacks. You see the coverage is affecting Native Americans, those individuals that live in the Latin colonial regions, the Appalachian regions, and whatnot. So, heirs property is an issue and is an issue that needs to catch up with the times. Laws need to change, policy needs to change as how heirs property is being dealt with, and not affording opportunity for predatory developers, land developers, corporations, government, whatever, acquiring land without going through the proper channels, or taking land because there are unresolved legal issues such as clearing a title. But at the same time, those individuals, if they don't understand the risk, they have to, reach out and try to figure out how to resolve their issues, or seek out those professional organizations, whether it be profit, nonprofit organizations, businesses, whatever, to get rid of the risk, to mitigate the risk, to help preserve, protect their property. You see that the ladies spent $7,000 of her and her family's money to try to clear a title, but they wanted more money. Case in point. I mean, either you take care of your business or you don't take care of your business, and you're subject to land being lost. And that's what I try to do, and try to educate my family, try to inform my family, try to help let those individuals know that these are the risks. This is how we mitigate the risk. Here's the laws on land. Here's how we use the laws to protect their property by clearing a title, so that those corporations, land developers, whoever, cannot come in and acquire this land because somebody sold their share to a outsider who was not an heir, whether it be a real estate agent, a land developer, or somebody is interested in acquiring land. So again, this is step in the right direction. Does not definitely clear up all the issues dealing with heirs property, to include, the act that was passed in 2017 by then Governor Haley, ex-Governor Haley of South Carolina, basically, somewhat preserving property, but giving heirs first rights to purchase another heir's share of their property before it's, partition is sold, due to, you know, not paying taxes, or due to negligence, or due to just not paying attention, on case may be, whatever the storyline is there. But there's rules and laws and policies that are changing to help mitigate that risk. But at the same time, there's rules and laws and policies changing to not so much to deal with heirs property, or find a easier solution to deal with their property before is making sure that there is no heirs property. So that's in a nutshell. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this was informative. And see you in the next video. Take care. Thank you. Bye.